Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Torres, the Community Programs and Events Manager here at ACHS, and welcome to our ACHS Study Abroad 2017 walkthrough. We thought it would be really fun to take you through the two trips coming up in 2017 and give you more information about the details of these two wonderful adventures. So the first trip that we have coming up is in April. It's the 24th through the 28th, and it's to Syros, Greece, the island of Syros. It's a week of Mediterranean wellness. The particulars of the trip we're going to go into in a minute, but just as a general statement, the early bird rate is $29.99, and we have extended that through February 3rd. So if you are thinking about this trip, you do have until February 3rd. We also have an additional 3-night sailing excursion that we've added onto this trip for $785, and that would take us to Mykonos and Delos, two other islands, so you get to see a little bit more of this amazingly beautiful region. So included in the $29.99 price is all meals, accommodations, double occupancy, transportation on the island, and entrance fees to all of our cultural side trips. And for the 5 days that we'll be there, the 6 days, 5 nights, we're going to be doing 2 cultural side trips. What that price does not include is airfare. It also doesn't include a mandatory trip insurance. There's a ferry ride to and from the island that you would be paying additionally, and the accommodations in Athens. So the way this would work is you'd fly into Athens, more than likely need to stay 1 night in Athens before coming to the island. Of course, you could extend your trip on the front end and visit Athens and do some sightseeing before you come to the island. But we'll have a designated meeting place on the island on Monday, and so you'll be getting off the ferry, and as soon as you get off the ferry on Syros, then everything is included from that moment until we all part company on Saturday. This amazing adventure is a very workshop-style, hands-on experience. It's in one place on the island. It's staying, kind of doing botanical workshops, distillation, wildcrafting, and I'll go through the details in a moment. It's led by 2 amazing instructors, Doreen Peterson, who is the founder and president of ACHS, and that many of you are studying with, and Mindy Green. And Mindy Green is also a pretty renowned aromatherapist. She's the founder and owner of Green Sensations, an independent consulting company that specializes in botanical therapies, aromatherapy education, and product development. And Mindy is a nationally certified registered aromatherapist and is a founding member of the American Herbalist Guild. So these are the 2 instructors that you would have for this hands-on workshop-style experience. So let's go through the particulars of the trip. So this is a beautiful brochure that we have available that is on, you can download from our website, that shows you each day a little bit more of what's happening. So I thought I'd just quickly go through the days so you get more of a sense of this trip. So day 1, Aso, goddess of the healing process. So when you're picked up at the ferry terminal, you'll be driven to Villa Abella. Villa Abella is our hub for the Greece trip. It will be doing the workshops there. Many of you will be staying there, and there's an adjacent property that will have rooms in as well. So everything will happen right here. It'll be our home base. Doreen will welcome you, and the first lecture will happen on day 1, What is Aromatherapy? Day 2, Epion, goddess of the soothing pain. So we're going to be offering yoga 2 mornings of the 6-day trip, and for day 2, we're actually going to be heading to Syros, And Annos is the medieval settlement of Syros, and we'll be able to take a hike to the top and tour the Church of St. George, which was built in 1208. I mean, we have no concept in the United States, anyway, of this kind of age of actual civilization. So the Church of St. George, built in 1208, and the monks who live there work hard to soothe the pain of their seekers. So after lunch, we'll be back at Villa Abella. Mindy Green will lecture on the essential oils of the region, and we'll follow it up with an essential oil blending workshop. So that's going to be a packed day and very fun. Oops. Okay, 1 second here. Day 3, Panacea, Goddess of Universal Remedy. So on day 3, we will take a little wildcrafting hike. And you can see in the photo, this is actually from a previous tour of some folks that wildcrafted. And we'll be hiking up and picking the botanicals that are in bloom. And then after lunch, you'll have the opportunity to create some flower preparations using these freshly wildcrafted botanicals. So it'll be a wonderful, wonderful day. Asclepius, excuse me, is the god of medicine and healing. And so on day 4, we're going to be taking another side trip to Ermopoli for shopping and some lunch. Now, Ermopoli has always been a significant port town, and it's described, it stands on a naturally amphitheatrical site, and with neoclassical buildings, old mansions, and white houses cascading down to the harbor. So it's just, it's an amazing port city. That's actually the city that you'll be coming into and out of on the ferry. So we'll get a chance to explore and visit, and then we'll come back and create some herbal preparations for vitality and wellness. And day 5, Egli, is the goddess of radiant good health. And begin the morning with an optional yoga class again. So on this day, we'll have some yoga in the morning available. And Doreen is going to speak on iridology. So this is the secrets of the eyes. So you'll have an opportunity to get an overview on what that modality is. And then after lunch, weather permitting, we'll venture down to the beach, which will be right next to where we are. Well, it's everywhere. Clearly, it's an island. So, so we'll get to venture down to the beach, and then our farewell dinner will include some local entertainment that we have lined up for you. Now, this week is going to be packed, but if you haven't had enough, we also are going to be offering on day 6, some of you will be heading back to Athens, and some of you may want to join us for an optional 3-day sailing trip. So Hermes, god of transportation, will be helping us on our end of this portion of the trip and on to your next adventure, whether you choose to go somewhere else or join us for the 3-day excursion. So the optional sailing is going to Mykonos and Delos, 2 other islands. There's an 8-person maximum for the boat because we will be sleeping on the boat, and the total price for that is $785. So that'll be a first-come, first-served basis. So that, my friends, is our Greece opportunity this year. Now, I've heard some people comment, well, how's the weather going to be in April? Well, Doreen assures me that this year we've talked to folks in Greece, and it's kind of, as is happening all over the world, it's very warm, and they are expecting that the botanicals are going to be in bloom, and there's going to be lots for us to look at and work with in Greece in April. So hope you can join us for that trip. Okay, now let's talk about India. So India is a very different trip. India is I would call it an odyssey and quite an adventure. We're calling it Silk, Spice, and Sandalwood. Doreen and I traveled to India last April to do a cut down version of this tour to make sure that it would work for our students and participants. So I have firsthand knowledge of this trip, and it's amazing, nothing short. This is in the southern region of India from August 13th through the 27th of next year. The early bird rate that is available until March 5th is $39.99. That's a 14-night trip for $39.99. So it's a very good value. And what it includes is all meals, all accommodations, double occupancy at 4- and 5-star hotels. Transportation, we'll have a big private bus, a tour guide, all the entrance fees for everywhere that we'll be visiting, and pick up and drop off at the airports. So the big question I keep getting about India is about safety. And what I want to say is that from the moment you set foot in India, you'll be with us. So we'll be picking you up at the airport and taking you, and we'll be traveling as a group for the whole trip. It's a beautiful, little less dense part of India, and it's very lush, and we'll be seeing several different kind of terrains on the tour. What the trip does not include is airfare and trip insurance, and it's really designed to immerse you in the allure of India's traditions. It's led by Doreen Peterson, and it's designed for aromatherapists, holistic health professionals, students, wellness novices. If you just want to kind of go with a holistic bent on a trip like this in a group, this would be the trip for you. We'll travel to 7 cities. With no more than 3 nights at any one hotel. So it's definitely a trip that's for the more robust traveler, adventuresome, I would say. You don't need to be strong necessarily, because we're not going to be doing a lot of like trekking on foot, but there will be a lot of traveling, there will be a lot of sightseeing, just on the go, a lot of on the go. We have this beautiful brochure for India that is available to download that goes through each day, and I thought it would be fun to just take you a little bit through this trip as well. So the trip to India starts in Bengaluru, which formerly was Bangalore, and this is the capital of India's southern Karnataka state and is the 3rd most populated city in India. So this starts in one of the more populated cities that we're going to be visiting on the trip. And this is, you'll see in the picture here, that's Doreen in Bangalore. They basically build the sidewalks around the trees. The trees are the most important piece of the culture, and that's one of the beauties of that culture. So day 2, after breakfast and a morning welcome session, we will board the bus and venture out, and we'll be visiting a couple places in Bengaluru. We'll be visiting Botanical Gardens and Cuban Park. So we're going to be kind of looking at Bangalore from a botanical perspective, and you really will get to see a lot of the trees and a lot of the greenery and a lot of the botanicals that we'll be seeing throughout the tour. And after lunch, we're going to visit the Sandalwood Soap Factory. So you'll get to see how soap is made, and then we'll return to the hotel. Day 3, we have to get an early start because we're going to be going to Mysuru, formerly Mysore. And on the way, you'll notice in the photo, that is the cocoon market, Mysuru cocoon market. And this is a trading market. So they're trading in silk cocoons. So all of these gentlemen have these bins of these little white cocoons, and they're trading. And it's kind of like Wall Street for silk cocoons. And then you'll get to see how they carry them out. One person had a big bag on his back getting on a bicycle. So it's an amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience to see this. And this is really the start of the silk portion of the tour. We'll see the trading of the cocoons all the way through creating a silk sari in the factory. So a late lunch will be served, and then we'll visit a jaggery house to learn about cane sugar, the traditions of cane sugar, and then we'll be going back to the hotel. So day 4, our first stop is the Ayurvedic Center. This is a wonderful place. Prajna Kutira is run by Dr. Krishnamurti, and he's just kind of a rural Ayurvedic center. Ayurvedic medicine is pretty much the primary medicine of India that's practiced. And so we'll be able to learn a little bit. We'll have an Ayurvedic lunch, and then we'll go to the Mysore silk factory and see how silk is transformed. So it's a really wonderful day. The picture here is a woman. It was very hot, and these are all along the road to Mysore. And she cuts the coconut and puts a straw in it, and you drink it right there. It's just wonderful. So on the way back, we'll stop and see the big famous big banyan tree. Visit the market at Shamundi Hills, and see a temple, which they're all over the place. They're wonderful. And our last day in Mysuru, we'll have an optional morning visit. So you'll have the option of going to the palace, to an incense factory, and local salt caves. So we'll kind of feel out what we all want to do. And then after lunch, we'll visit the Sandalwood Distillery Museum, which used to be an actual working sandalwood factory, distillation factory, but it's government run and it's no longer in actual use, but they will still tour, and we can see how the process happens. And then we will go to the Lilith Mahal Palace, built in the 30s. So you're getting the picture here. We're moving. We're on the go every day at something new. So it's a really rich cultural trip. So on day 6, we head up into the mountains and visit the Hope Foundation. And this is the first chance that you'll get to give back. We'll be putting in the channel some things that you can donate that they really need. Pens, papers, warm hats, anything like that. Women who operate the Herbal Research Center are very appreciative for any donations. And we'll tour the herbarium and the eucalyptus essential oil distillery. So you can purchase small batch distilled oil if you're so inclined. And then we'll end the day at the Fortune Resort Sullivan Court, which is a former colonial estate, and it's a really beautiful hotel. The hotel reminds me of being in what it must have been when the British were in India. In fact, we see some of that, the colonial feel, especially when we go up into the tea plantations. Day 7 and 8, halfway through the trip, we leave in the morning and head to Palakkad in Kerala. And this part of the trip, the Kerala part, is, I would say, it's the most gorgeous land in India that I saw on the trip. It reminds me of something out of Indiana Jones. It's just amazing. It's beautiful as the Garden of Eden. Palakkad is known as the rice bowl of Kerala and produces the largest quantity of rice in the state. It also produces turmeric, banana, tamarind. So we're going to stay 2 nights in another Ayurvedic center, and this is kind of the difference between the 2 Ayurvedic centers that we'll see. This is like the upscale Ayurvedic center that is, you go and they do an assessment and they figure out what you need and you stay there and kind of convalesce and they work on your particular issues that you have health-wise. And so we're going to get 2 nights there, and you can get an optional massage or a treatment there. This kind of, we thought halfway through the trip it was nice because we were just going to take a couple days here and relax. They also have the Ayurvedic factory that creates the medicine for this center that we'll have the opportunity to visit in Palachi. And that'll be a day trip. We'll go there and you can actually see the women putting the little herbs in the pill, in the capsules and that kind of thing. So it's a really interesting interesting factory to see. So this will be our pause and ability to relax for a couple days. So, and then on day 9, okay, now we get to keep going. We're going to head out to Madurai and the Heritage Madurai Hotel, and we'll check in for a late lunch, and then we'll head back for an adventure at Jasmine Concrete. So here we'll have we picked this time of year specifically because the jasmine is in bloom. So on day 9, we'll actually be going at night at 6 p.m. to Jasmine Concrete, where they'll have all of the jasmine laid out and ready to start being distilled. So we'll be able to watch that distillation process in the evening. And then the next morning, if you're an early riser, you may choose to join us at 5 a.m. and the women will be harvesting jasmine in the field. So whether they'll allow us to join or not, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have an opportunity to, at the very least, see the picking, the harvesting of the jasmine. And we'll also go to a local flower market and see how the jasmine and other aromatics are traded. And then the rest of the day will be open for you to relax, or you can come to the temple. We'll kind of see what we want to do that afternoon. Day 11, here's where we wind our way up into the Western Ghats to Munnar. This was just, wow, this trip was amazing. You can see that picture. I felt like I was it was like the Garden of Eden. It truly is. It's just beautiful. We'll stop for lunch, and then we'll head to the sandalwood forest. So this is the sandalwood part of the tour where you'll really get to see these amazing trees that are actually pretty, they're not overstated at all. They're very understated trees, but as you know, sandalwood is a really coveted material for essential oils, and it takes them a long time to grow. So we'll be discovering all of that's been going on around sandalwood. And also you'll get to see the tea country. The tea plantations, these were started by the British, and well, really they built up the tea in India, and the hillsides are just these patchworks, and it's very beautiful. So we'll get to see that, and there's always people working in the fields. So okay, so day 12, we'll be visiting the Shrishti School for the Disadvantaged. This is a beautiful, beautiful school that helps the disadvantaged children. It brings them together and teaches them. We'll meet the principal, have an opportunity to provide the children with materials that they need. So this will be your second opportunity to give back. And we'll also see a demonstration of natural dyeing at Arana Naturals next door to the school. They actually employ the graduates from the school and they make these exquisite hand-dyed scarves and wraps and paper, and it's beautiful. So you'll get a chance to support their endeavor if you want to purchase anything. I actually got quite a few gifts at this particular stop. And then after lunch, we'll have an open evening and just kind of relax, and because it will have been another very full day. Day 13, we're bound for Cochin, which is where our tour ends. So we'll be going to Kerala Farm Organic Spices Villages. So we'll see a spice farm. We'll actually see a couple spice plantations, and you can see, we'll learn about the spice culture from the processors to the exporters, and there are just so many spices that come out of India. So this is the spice part of our tour. And then we'll head to Deepa Spice World for a plantation tour, and after lunch we're bound for DEO Industries to tour a small family distillery and experience a small batch soap making demonstration. And it was just so fun it felt like they were in the kitchen, but we were outside, and two guys, and they have a pot and they're making soap, and they just we got to see the whole process. So we'll be sharing that with you as well. And in Cochin, we stay at arguably the most amazing hotel on the trip, which is Brunton Boatyard. It's amazing, and on the coast, you can walk out of the hotel and the coast right there. There's all of the Chinese fishing. They're very distinct shape, and all of the men are out fishing. It's spectacular. So our last full day, we'll spend the morning touring the Canker factory, specializing in spice and floral extracts, essential oils, and organic products. And then the afternoon will be spent at Wellness Solutions, which is yet a third Ayurvedic center, and we'll receive a talk from Dr. Srikumar, who is a renowned doctor in India. And our farewell dinner will include an authentic Indian dance show. So when you set up your flight, you're going to want to fly in to Bangalore and out Cochin. Both are international airports, but that's just something to keep in mind. So that is that's the rundown of these two amazing trips: Greece in April, India in August, and we would love to have you join us. If you have any additional questions, I'm available by phone or email. My information is here, and I hope that you'll be able to join us